There are only 4 days until the 2022 NFL Draft kicks off. So let's go ahead and let's do a final 7-round Jets mock draft. Let's go ahead and let's get after it. Before I get into the video, if I could get you to please jet up the like button, and if you're new here and you enjoy the content, please consider subscribing to the channel. I do want to let you know we're going to be live streaming this upcoming Wednesday night, and we're going to be doing our Jets jersey giveaway for the NFL Draft. So if you haven't subscribed to Jets Today, go ahead and do that right now. Support the channel and give yourself a shot at a great prize. One last thing before we get started here, I want to make sure it's crystal clear here that this mock draft is a reflection of what I believe the New York Jets will do on draft weekend. I did my best to remove any bias of what I want the New York Jets to do. So without any more time being wasted, let's go ahead and get this thing going. Round 1, pick 4, I have the New York Jets selecting defensive end Kayvon Thibodeaux out of Oregon. And let's just go ahead and let's just say it how it is. The New York Jets would be very fortunate if he is available at the 4th overall pick when the Jets are on the clock. When we started the college football season and the NFL season, there was a lot of buzz and speculation that Kayvon Thibodeaux was a consensus #1 overall pick. And I don't think that he really did anything during the college football season to diminish his value in the NFL. He is a supreme talent. He has very, very good explosion and first step explosion, I should say. And when you talk about the Jets scheme and what they want to do, they want their front four to generate the pass rush. They don't want to rely on the blitz, and they want these guys to get upfield and impact the quarterback every single down. And I think when you're talking about the Jets edge rushing room, you've got guys like Carl Lawson, Jacob Martin, who we just signed, Bryce Huff. We re-signed Vinny Curry, who was dealing with his health issue in 2021. But there's not a lot of players here. And so getting a guy at the top of the class that really is going to make an impact on day one, he's going to easily be a day one starter for the New York Jets. I think it's a home run draft pick. And I think that you don't need to worry too much about Kayvon Thibodeaux off the football field. I don't think that's something that people should be worried about. You know, he wants to build his brand. I say go for it. Have at it. Be a damn good football player and just build yourself up to be not only a great football player, but also a great player off of the football field. Round 1, pick 10, I have the New York Jets selecting wide receiver Jameson Williams out of Alabama. I think that pick 1 and pick 2, this is a dream scenario for a lot of Jets fans that follow the channel. I think getting your edge rusher at number 4 and then getting the explosive playmaker in Jameson Williams at number 10 is an ideal scenario for our New York Jets. And that's assuming they don't make a trade for Deebo Samuel. As of this current recording, they have not made such a move. And, again, we're looking at, the wide receiver room for the New York Jets. And we've got guys like Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, Braxton Berrios. We've got Denzel Mims as well. But that's kind of it. We need more talent in that room and more depth. And with Jameson Williams, you're getting a guy that can absolutely take the top off of a defense. He has extreme vertical ability, and he's a threat on any given play to destroy defenses. And I think that's what this offense could really, really use, is a field stretching guy. I get it. Elijah Moore can absolutely do that as well. But I think Jameson Williams may do it even a little bit better, specifically downfield route running, I should say. He creates incredible separation. And I think that, over time, Jameson Williams just needs a little bit of refinement. And I do believe he can be one of the most dangerous and most explosive playmakers in the entire National Football League. And when you're talking about Zach Wilson and the importance of giving him everything that he needs to be a damn good quarterback, I think that this is exactly what he needs. And don't forget, Corey Davis may not be on the football team in 2023. So this is another player that can go along with Elijah Moore and be here for the long haul. And one last thing that I think it's important that I mention, the knee injury is a little bit scary, and I get that. But if he's going to only miss a few games to start the 2021 season, and that is the expectation as of right now, is that he will be ready to play football, I don't think that's a reason to not draft Jameson Williams. Let's just pretend in a vacuum that Jameson Williams never suffered the knee injury. Who was wide receiver 1 going to be? And I think it's very, very clear. It's Jamison Williams. So I think Joe Douglas will be willing to take a swing on him regardless of the injury that he did incur. And I think the Jets just have to have, some backup plans. They need to maybe go and re-sign a guy like Keelan Cole who has some familiarity with the team, with the scheme. And you can just roll as soon as he gets back and healthy. You're good to go. And so I feel very confident that this is something that Joe Douglas will absolutely consider on draft night. Round 2, pick 35. I have the New York Jets selecting safety Lewis Cine out of Georgia. When you talk about Joe Douglas and some of the trends that he has shown in the NFL draft, one of them is that he values greatly is leadership and athleticism, and Lewis Cine has both of these in spades. He was certainly one of the leaders on that Georgia defense that won the national championship. And Joe Douglas has also shown a interest in players in free agency and in the draft that have played on the big stage and that have competed at the highest level. And so I think that Lewis Cine makes a ton of sense if he's available at 35. And don't discount the idea that the Jets could really use another safety in the back end. I know a lot of people will point to the fact that we have LaMarcus Joyner. We also have Jason Pinnock. I want those guys on this football team, but I don't want them in my starting lineup. I want another kid in the back end with Jordan Whitehead that can lay the wood, can be rangy, and make big plays on defense, and that is exactly what I think Lewis Cine will provide. Round 2, pick 38, I have the New York Jets selecting guard/center Zion Johnson out of Boston College. I absolutely love his backstory of having to work his way to Division I football, earning a starting job at Boston College. I think that Joe Douglas will really love that and how hard he worked to get to where he is. And then you talk about some of the other things, his position versatility. Joe Douglas has shown an affinity for guys that can play multiple positions on the offensive line. And I think Zion Johnson can definitely do that. They had him snapping the football at the Senior Bowl. So I do think that it shows a level of interest from the New York Jets. And I think he projects absolutely beautifully to this offense. He's going to be able to block on the move in this wide zone running scheme. And I think he's got a strong anchor. He's going to be able to hold up in the pass protection game as well. I think Joe Douglas just absolutely loves offensive linemen. I think that this is important that the Jets start to build their offensive line in the mid rounds, not necessarily in the first round. And this also offers some flexibility at the center position this season. We can potentially keep Zion Johnson as the backup, or they could cut Connor McGovern and save about $9 million to make even more moves this offseason, post June cuts and post the NFL draft. So for all of these reasons, I think that this is a very, very intriguing option, and I do think that Joe Douglas will consider him at this pick. Round 3, pick 69, I have the New York Jets selecting offensive lineman Zach Tom out of Wake Forest. This guy checks a lot of the Joe Douglas boxes. Positional versatility, played center and offensive tackle at Wake Forest. He's a great scheme fit. He's going to be able to get out and block on the run. And pass protection is very strong with Zach Tom. So he could be a future starter at the left tackle spot if the New York Jets decide to not retain George Fant in 2023. And again, we don't want to see Connor McDermott in the starting lineup if there's an injury. And this draft pick would remove that, from happening. And I think that it's very, very important that we have some backups and some potential starters as well in the future. I think that's very, very important that we start to do this on the offensive line. Going into round 1 to draft offensive linemen every year is not a great plan. Love the idea of landing Zach Tom at this pick. And I think there's even a chance that the New York Jets select an offensive tackle earlier than the 3rd round. Round 4, pick 111, I have the New York Jets selecting linebacker Troy Anderson out of Montana State. 6'4", 230 plus pounds, ran a 4.4 40-yard dash. He is an absolute size speed monster. And even though he played at the FCS level, I think that a lot of his game translates to the National Football League. The thing that he's going to need to work on is his football IQ and his awareness on the field. He's only had 2 seasons playing as a linebacker. So there's going to be some learning that he needs to do coming into the NFL. And this is why I have him falling a little bit into the 4th round. He could very well easily be drafted earlier than this because of his athleticism and his size. And again, I think that you talk about pass coverage ability and his playmaking ability. It's all there for him. And I think that the New York Jets would be very, very lucky to get a guy to come in. We don't have a lot going on at the linebacker position. And I keep stressing that to people. A lot of people want to draft a defensive tackle in the early rounds. And I just don't love the idea of doing that. I think we have good depth in the interior defensive line right now. And so getting Troy Anderson, you have Hamza Nasruddin coming off of his rookie year. Jamian Sherwood is recovering from the Achilles tear, coming into his second year as well. CJ Mosley, Quincy Williams. That's about it, guys. And I think that it's very important that the Jets go and get a linebacker. If not in the second round, get one in the mid rounds that you know can at least compete with these other kids on the linebacking core. Round 4, pick 117. I have the New York Jets selecting wide receiver Khalil Shakir out of Boise State. I think this is the potential insurance policy that Joe Douglas may look to do in the mid to late rounds in the event that they don't think that Jameson Williams is going to be ready for week 1 of the NFL season. And there's a lot to like with Khalil Shakir. You're not just drafting him because he plays wide receiver. He fits what we're trying to do. He's versatile. He has some yak ability, which is a big deal in this offense. And again, I think that you like the idea that he's a pretty good route runner as well. This is not just a one-trick pony. He's not a deep threat. He's not a big guy that's just going to go up and make contested catches. He can do a little bit of everything. And the one thing that he's going to need to work on coming from a spread offense is his route tree. It's not very well developed. And so the ideal scenario is that you put him on this roster as a backup in 2022. And in the event that we do not retain Corey Davis in 2023, you have another guy who can come in, who can be a young wide receiver to grow with Zach Wilson. He'd have a full year of developing in 2022. I really like the idea of adding the depth and the future starter as well. Round 5, pick 146. I have the New York Jets selecting tight end Charlie Kolar out of Iowa State. I think that the Jets already have their 2 starters in CJ Uzomah and Tyler Conklin that they added in free agency, and we should all feel really, really good about those 2 guys. The Jets wanted to use 12 personnel way more in 2021. That's a 2 tight end set, and we now have the ability to do that. But I do think it's important to strike in a deep tight end class, getting a guy in the late rounds that can be a projected role player in 2022, but a potential starter moving forward. And it's another player that I think that the Jets will really covet. Good size, really good hands, needs to work on his blocking ability, needs to work on his route running, but he'd be able to do that in year 1. And I think that you can put him in the red zone to make plays and just be a receiver for this offense. Yet another target for Zach Wilson. I think it checks a lot of the boxes for what the Jets are looking for at the late rounds and also at the tight end position. Round 5, pick 163. I have the New York Jets selecting running back Tyler Algier out of BYU. I don't know if he's going to be available in round 5, but I'm going to go ahead and say that he might be there because of his 4.6 40-yard dash. He did have some fumbling issues in college football, but if you look at him as a prospect and as a running back, he projects really nicely to this offense and to being a complement for Michael Carter. This is not a kid you're drafting to be the starter. He is going to be a short yardage back due to his awesome contact balance. And again, you talk about not losing anything when you take Michael Carter off the football field. We will still be able to throw the football with Tyler Algier in the game. He is a good hands catcher. Will be able to make plays in the screen game as well. Really like this draft pick. Love the familiarity that he has with Zach Wilson. And again, another weapon for Zach Wilson. Don't think that for a second that Joe Douglas is not going to be looking for more players to surround Zach Wilson with in 2022. All in all, I think that Joe Douglas and the New York Jets would be very happy with this draft class. They have accomplished some of the things that I think are very important to this football team. Getting an edge rusher, getting faster on the back end with Troy Anderson and Lewis Cine, and getting more offensive line protection for Zach Wilson, and just getting more weapons for Zach Wilson to play with, I think is accomplished as well in this draft class. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you love some of these picks? Do you hate some of these picks? I will read and respond to all of them. I thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Go Jets, and I'll see you guys next time.